we will use this web application I have built to chat with an Excel or a CSV file. One of the ways to leverage a large language model is to talk to your data in order to get some information you believe is present in your data. I think this is one of the most powerful use cases for leveraging a large language model. In most companies today, managers, mid-level or senior level, turn to an analyst to answer some pretty straightforward business questions. Well, imagine empowering managers with an app like this to answer some of their own questions and let the analyst focus on what they were hired to do on more complex items. So, like my other videos, it requires us to load a file. In this case, we can load a CSV or an Excel file. Similar to some other videos, some settings here. The app today can only do some simple graphing, such as line charts or bar charts. Okay, let's go ahead and import some file that I have played around with before. One of the things I've done here is to provide a preview of what that file looks like. So in this case, it has 7 columns or so, and this is a file that I downloaded online. It's publicly available. It's someone had done some research and they published their research. It's anonymous. Basically, how scores distribute by ethnic groups, parents' education, etc. All right, so let's get going. Ask some questions and see how this does. So, think of this as art of the possible, right? So the types of questions I'm going to ask are just meant to demonstrate what kind of things we can do in terms of chatting with our data. How many rows and columns are there? Pretty straightforward. There's like 30,000 some rows. Yep. And we can do things like, let's just ask it to summarize what this data set is about. And let's say in 50 words or less. So what should happen here is that the large language model will read the column names and use that to sort of infer what this might be about. So yeah, this data set contains information about student scores, etc. And it even goes ahead, gives us some statistics about the average scores or whatever they are. We can also, ask it to ask our data to give us a table back or plots, etc. So let's create a table first here. So we can say something like summarize the average math scores by ethnic group in a table. So it should pop here a table that sort of gives us the average math scores. Yep. And then we can plot also. So say plot the average writing score by ethnic group in a bar chart. More specific we can be with our prompting or with our question, the better. So in this case, it's going to, there you go, create a chart based on the ethnic group, the average writing scores. Cool thing about this kind of things is, if I wanted to, I could just download this chart, use it for my presentation, etc. All right, and then I'm going to do one pretty complex task here. So we can do things like, all right, ask something like, if someone is a male and belongs to a certain ethnic group and has this, has that, what is the probability that the math score is greater than 85? So it's right. This would require some amount of reasoning to answer this question. I think it's about 46 or something. I think I've done this before. So 48% probability. All right. Pretty cool, right? So let me show you something I typically don't do, but I'm going to show you what is happening under the hood here. So just imagine that this thing is something that's thinking things through, right? So the way this works is that there's a knowledge base, right? Something contains knowledge or lots of different information in that knowledge base. What the large language model needs to do is sort of reason its way to the answer. So the last question was about, if someone is a male in ethnic group. So it starts with what's the thought? So it has to break this down by different steps. So it's a stepwise approach. So the reasoning here is that to answer this question, I need to find, etc., etc. So what action do I have to take? Well, I need to write a certain Python code. Okay. Well, then what's the Python code I write to, come to the answer? Here's the answer. I now know the probability, the final answer, and that's what we get here. So another way to leverage a large language model.